Buck is introduced as a St. Bernard and Scotch sheepdog in the Santa Clara Valley who lives with Judge Miller. Since Buck is Judge Miller's favorite, he is now the lead dog. Manuel, the gardener, needs cash and decides to sell Buck. One day, Manuel decides to take Buck for a walk. So Manuel goes and gets the leash from the judge. The buyer agrees to meet at the train station, so he takes Buck to the train and sells him. Once Manuel has his money and Buck is exchanged, once alone, the stranger throws Buck on the train. After struggling to get out, Buck is tossed from vehicle to vehicle. He arrives in Seattle and meets the strange man that is his new owner, who owns an axe and a club. Buck is beaten when he attacks his new owner, and when he regains consciousness, he finds food in the safety of his bowl, along with some water. One day, a strange man came and bought Buck. Buck had no idea where he was about to be taken, but the strange man knew exactly where he would be. Buck is placed on the ship with Curly, Spitz, and Dave. This is a foreshadowing of his fight with Spitz. Having arrived at the strange new cold land, Buck experiences his first day at Daya Beach, in which he calls a nightmare, and he realizes that he has lost. Then he is introduced to the law of Club and Fang when Curly dies from the other dogs' beatings because they didn't like her. The next morning, Buck is strapped into the sled harness for the experience. Billy and Joel are added. Buck passes Solix at his blind eye, and they make up for their differences. After traveling great distances, camp is set up, and Buck learns to sleep in the snow. Buck is promoted to an up-front spot on the chain of the harnesses. After a long day, the dogs are fed at camp. They are fed lots of bones. Hungry wolves come and attack the camp for their food because they are starving. These wolves end up stealing their food and injuring the other dogs and chasing them away. When the dogs return to camp, there is no food remaining for them. The battle of authority continued between Spitz and Buck. Since they had no food, then the dogs set out again and covered hundreds of miles, yet Dolly goes out crazy and she is killed by Francois and his axe. With a member down, Buck goes on to fight for leadership with Spitz and really starts the battle. With Spitz's bad leadership, Buck sides with the other dogs and decides to be there. One day, the bunny runs through the camp and Buck and Spitz battle to get the bunny. This marks the final battle, in which Spitz will end up getting. The battle to the death for the top spot continues, and Spitz ends up getting severely hurt and running away to leave Buck on top.